today, visiting the site of yet another sinkhole that opened up on Interstate 80 in Morris County, New Jersey this week. Crews working to repair it. Traffic there has been a mess for days. Duffy.
We're going to do all that we can on the federal side to provide assistance and aid to New Jersey.
There have been at least 3 of these sinkholes that have formed on I-80 over the past 4 months. They're still playing catch-up at London's Heathrow Airport after the airport lost power for the better part of a day Friday due to an electrical substation fire nearby. Laura Fritchie from Kansas City was on vacation with her family in Ireland when she learned that her father died. Today, she was stranded at Heathrow after her British Airways flight to Chicago was canceled at the last minute.
I'm very frustrated, and I'm wanting to have a great time with my family, and so with the passing of my father, that put a damper on it, and now it's just, it's that much harder, because I don't know how to get home.
Airlines are warning passengers that disruptions will last for days as they relocate planes and get crews back where they're supposed to be. March Madness, thanks to their defense, Arkansas defeating number 5 St. John's 75-66, and the Purdue Boilermakers taking on 12th seed McNeese. Going up early, never looking back. Final score 76-62. Both Arkansas and Purdue advancing to the Sweet 16. Dave Packer, ABC News.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Honey, the credit card bill came, and we're maxed out.
Maxed out cards, rent is due. We just need some extra cash to help us get by.
Maybe we should go to 27cash.com.
With our bad credit?
27cash.com is one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with any type of credit get up to $5,000, and cash can hit our bank account as soon as tomorrow.
When you need extra cash, go to 27cash.com. That's 27cash.com. 27cash.com.
Siding Unlimited, named the best window installers, not just here, but in the whole USA. Get the best. Siding Unlimited, 5-time winner as America's best window installer. For windows you call Siding Unlimited first and directly. SidingUnlimited.com.
Your European experts at Fox World Travel are ramping up and busy as ever. With the trending spring and summer European travel season, Fox European experts mean you can maximize your time soaking up the warm weather, blooming flowers, and vibrant landscapes without worrying about your travel or missing a moment. Port hop along the Mediterranean with Celebrity or Holland America, or design your own bucket list adventure with Globus. Visit us online or call 866-GO-FOX-GO. Your European immersion awaits.
Wisconsin winters are unpredictable.
This is history. Never had a tornado touchdown in February.
We keep you updated on blizzards.
Winter storm warning has been issued for all of southeast Wisconsin, and it's going to get really, really dicey.
Blackouts.
Tens of thousands of customers across southeast Wisconsin are without power this morning.
Icy roads.
Very, very slick conditions pretty much everywhere.
And more. With WTMJ Fleet Farm Storm Team alerts on air and at WTMJ.com. It's time for Buck Shootaround on WTMJ. We get you warmed up, stretched out, and ready for tip-off. This is Buck Shootaround. Now, here's your host, Justin Garcia.
Game night in Sacramento tonight for the Bucks and the Kings. More late-night basketball. And another shorthanded Bucks game here as they continue to forge ahead without Bobby Portis, though the end of the line is near on that 25-game suspension. We're down to single digits on that, so after tonight, 8 games remain on that suspension for BP. Gary Trent Jr. was listed on the injury report, so was Giannis. They are both available to play, but when I say shorthanded, obviously we know Jericho Sims is out with that surgery. Bobby Portis on suspension, and Damian Lillard going to miss a second consecutive game with right calf soreness. So you're going to be up against the Kings team down 2 of their big pieces as well in Malik Monk and Domantas Sabonis. But, going back to the last couple of postgame shows that we did, we said a lot of the disappointment that stemmed from that loss to the Warriors to open up this road trip on Tuesday night was the fact that game was there for the taking. And it wasn't, and this is in no means a slight on the Warriors, but it didn't feel like, man, the Warriors just thoroughly outplayed the Bucks. The Warriors gave the Bucks opportunities. And who was on the floor for Golden State or more namely who was off the floor, is insignificant in that case, because we're at that point of the schedule, where everything is amplified. I'm not going to say important, because winning games is important from October all the way through April and hopefully May, June, right? But mistakes and losses, they become even more amplified when you look at your seed line and you see, oh, you missed the 3 seed by X amount of games. You missed the 4 seed. You missed out on it by 2 games. And you look back at some of those games throughout the year. You're like, yeah, there was that. Yeah, there was that game that they could have and should have won in San Francisco against the Warriors, and fourth quarter just not good enough. So that was a lot of the disappointment. That and the fact that we've consistently had to have the conversation about the offense on a team with Giannis and Damian Lillard, and the fourth quarter offense specifically just not being good enough. That was what we saw Tuesday in that loss to the Warriors. What makes it even more frustrating, I suppose is the word you would use, is, you come out of that, and whether or not it's quote-unquote stealing the game, you come out with that win, you feel really good about that Lakers game. We tried to foreshadow as much as possible. Look, LeBron ain't playing in this game. Luka Doncic probably is not going to play in this game. That's exactly what happened. Austin Reeves was out. It reached levels of, if you're just a casual fan, if you can name a player on the Lakers, they ain't playing in that game. And we saw the Bucks take care of business. But, again, you had a really good chance. And especially today with the injury report, and I know you're down Dame, you're down 2 bigs in your front court. It's another opportunity. A team that you are better than, a team that is down 2 of their best players in Malik Monk and Domantas Sabonis. It's another big opportunity, and one you look back on and say, man, you really could have started this West Coast road trip 3-0. And I still maintain 3-2 is the expectation. It is not hope. It's the expectation of what this team needs to do, because while the schedule has started to let up, as we mentioned, Bucks suddenly have the 10th easiest remaining schedule in the league. All the discourse that was around, hey, it gets more difficult once we get into February and March, and the Bucks have one of the more challenging schedules left in the Eastern Conference. Well, one by one, you've started to peel off those games. You're done with the Celtics. You're done with the Cavaliers. You're done with the Oklahoma City Thunder. You're done with the Lakers now. You're starting to eliminate those Western Conference teams from your schedule. You got one left with the Denver Nuggets. That's the big challenge that remains for the Bucks. And then a big one next Friday with the New York Knicks. The schedule has started to turn, but the Indiana Pacers have not taken a step backward. They won once again today. So you're in a familiar spot where, once again, regardless of what you do, you are going to be 5th in the Eastern Conference. And your best case scenario is you win tonight and you're a full game back of the Indiana Pacers. Indiana got Tyrese Halliburton back after missing the last 3 games, but they haven't lost since losing to the Bucks last Saturday. You get the sense that's not going to go away anytime soon, and the Pacers are going to continue to hang around. So you're going to have to win games to get that 4 seed. Even with an easier schedule, you got to do something about it. And we keep saying the big games that are left. Well, at the time when you had those 2 games with the Pacers, it was obvious. Those are your 2 biggest games remaining this season. But you had those 2 with the Pistons just kind of lurking around the corner there, where you said, those potentially could be the big ones, but let's hope it doesn't come to that. We're getting down to 10 or so games remaining. Those games are going to linger, and those games are going to be huge. The Pistons aren't going away either. Their schedule starts to pick up in a couple of days, but the Pistons, similar to the Pacers, they have just continued to win and are putting the pressure on you. So, whether or not this is a good thing, and I feel like this is another lazy conversation that we can get into every single year when you get to this point. Hey, what's better? If the Bucks have a challenging schedule down the stretch, or if they have an easy schedule and you can start to rest guys and pick up wins? If you're playing a challenging schedule, is that better for the playoffs? There's no yes or no, right? It depends on the team. It depends on the players on the team. It depends on your health. And that's kind of the spot the Bucks are in here, where I don't know what it is they can show you that makes you think, okay, this team is up there with the class of the Eastern Conference. This team, I have faith they can push the Celtics. I have faith they can push or beat the Cleveland Cavaliers. I really think they can take down the Indiana Pacers. I don't think there's anything the Bucks could show us from here to the finish of the regular season. What, April 13th in Milwaukee against the Pistons. I don't think there's anything, if you're on the fence, they can show you to get you believing that. But, the flip side, I think they can clearly get people off the bandwagon. If losses start to pile up, if the fourth quarter offense doesn't get fixed, and that's the tenuous spot the Bucks are in right now, is if you believe in this team, unlike last year, there's fewer and fewer numbers that suggest this team is set up well against the best teams in the Eastern Conference. That's not to say they can't get there, and I think, any national voice you've heard that isn't completely out on the Bucks so far either, those are all people that are saying the same thing with the Denver Nuggets. I'm not going to pick against Nikola Jokic. I'm not going to pick against a team that has Giannis and Damian Lillard on the team in the postseason, assuming they're healthy. But that's been the big if for the Bucks for the last, 3 postseasons now. Health. Can they get healthy? Can they stay healthy? That's the most important thing, that and the fourth quarter offense to monitor go forward here during these, final 11, 12 games that the Bucks have to close out the season. But, not only that, not only seeing that growth offensively as a whole, but especially in the fourth quarter, not only staying healthy and getting guys, in the case of Damian Lillard, healthy, winning those games, the winnable games and games you're expected to win, taking care of business in those games, because ultimately that is one of the bigger separators and differentiators between the really good teams and the inconsistent teams. The really good teams, not to say it never happens, but really good teams, for the most part, do not lose to teams they are supposed to beat. You think back to the first 3 to 4 years of this era of Bucks basketball, that was the case for the Bucks. So getting back to that, and you can take a big step towards that tonight in Sacramento against the Kings. That's, I think, in the grand scheme of things, the biggest thing to keep an eye on here as this team moves ahead to the postseason. 855-616-1620 is the Siding Unlimited talk and text line. If you want to join us tonight on Bucks Shootaround as we continue to get you set for the Bucks and the Sacramento Kings. Mention the players that are out. We'll go over greater detail on the injury report and take a look at today's NBA scoreboard, specifically that game that the Pacers played. We'll bring you up to speed on all of that after this on Bucks Shootaround.
The most common reason pain sufferers come to us is to be able to perform their daily tasks without suffering through them. Grandparents who want to be able to take their grandkids on walks and to the park. Or those that just want to be able to get out of their vehicle with more ease than pain. Rejuvenex pain treatments can help, and the sooner you get to calming down that pain, the better it will be. These are powerful, FDA-approved pain treatments precisely administered with an extremely small needle to get to the root of your pain. And before you know it, you'll feel the anti-inflammatory power of Toradol and the cushioning relief of hyaluronic acid. Positive patient results are regularities, not rarities. And we do this conveniently in office, so it's very easy for you. And we're in network with most insurance plans, including Medicare and Medicaid, which could mean zero out-of-pocket costs for your pain relief treatment. Go to Rejuvenex.com to request your free pain evaluation.
Beer fans, travel lovers, and history buffs, this is your dream vacation. Join me, Sandy Max, on a 10-day journey through Germany, Austria, and the Czech Republic. We'll enjoy Munich's famous beer halls, sip our way through Salzburg's historic breweries, and discover Vienna's culture and craft beer scene. Then end the tour in Prague, where ancient history meets modern brews. From iconic castles to authentic flavors. Grab your passport and let's raise a glass to the ultimate beer adventure. Limited spots available. Book now. Email me, sandy@wtmj.com to learn more.
Welcome to Staples.
I hear Staples prints it all for any business.
You bet, and we'll beat any print quote.
So if I had a pizza place...
Staples can print signs, menus, pizza boxes.
A landscaping business?
Oh, we can print yard signs, t-shirts, brochures.
How about a pizza/landscaping business? I'll call it Dough and Mo.
I like it.
Right now at Staples, get up to $250 off your print purchase. Ends 4/5, exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for offer details. Price match guarantee valid in store and staples.com/print. Visit staples.com/price match for details.
Do you hear that? Asthma triggers are everywhere, from dust mites, pet dander, and pollen, to smog and smoke. An asthma attack can strike anywhere, anytime. Be prepared with quick-acting Primatene Mist. Clinically proven to open airways quickly. It's the #1 FDA-approved asthma inhaler available over the counter. Primatene Mist. Breathe easy again. Use as directed.
Now, more of Buck Shoot Around on WTMJ.
5 games total being played across the NBA today, and one of those has already gone final. Another is about to go final. The final score was the game that was most important to the Bucks, and that took place in Indianapolis, where for the second consecutive game, the Pacers beat the Brooklyn Nets. Tyrese Halliburton made his return tonight, just 5 of 13 shooting, scored 16 points with 12 assists. But the Indiana Pacers, with this win, are now 41-29 on the season. So the pressure is not letting up for the Bucks. And Indiana now, as of this moment, 2 wins up and 1 fewer loss than the Bucks. So your best case scenario is you're a full game back of the Pacers, assuming you can beat the Sacramento Kings tonight. And the Detroit Pistons are 39-32. So another spot where you lose tonight. And not only does the margin get wider, you're 2 games back of the Pacers for the 4 seed, but you are suddenly just a half game in front of the Pistons to avoid the 6 seed. Now, I think the Bucks are pretty well locked into that 4-5-6 range. We talked about this after, I think, the Warriors game. At this point, it's not even worth the breath to get into the, hey, they're X amount of games back. What if they did this in relation to catching the New York Knicks? You're 4 games back of the Knicks. That margin is essentially 5 because you don't have the tiebreaker, and you got 13 games remaining. That's a lot to make up in that few amount of games. Now, using that same principle, the Bucks are currently 6 games up on the Hawks with 13 games remaining. And the Hawks right now, the 7th seed, they're very likely going to be the 7th seed. So it's going to be 4, 5, or 6 for the Bucks. But the Pacers and Pistons certainly appear as though they are never going to lose again. And that's keeping the pressure directly on the Bucks. Speaking of the Knicks, they're also playing tonight. And they did have a little announcement today that's going to have an impact on that game that the Bucks play against the Knicks next week. But they're blowing out the Washington Wizards at halftime, 66-41. The announcement was Jalen Brunson still at least a week away. And the last 7 or so days, we've heard a lot of messaging on that, of could be late March, could be early April. Then I think we kind of settled on it's going to be shortly before the playoffs. The Knicks are hoping they can get a couple of games of run for Jalen Brunson before the postseason begins. You take this update and everything that we've heard in the last week, and it seems highly unlikely Jalen Brunson is going to play in that game next Friday in Milwaukee. Now, again, it means nothing in terms of the win column, in terms of the tiebreaker. And a win in that game means you go 1-9 against the top 3 seeds in the Eastern Conference. But at some point, just as we said with that Cavaliers game, which did not go your way a couple of weeks ago, with these games remaining, you just want to see the changes that we made to our roster. How does this look now with Kyle Kuzma and more athleticism? And you thought more size with Jericho Sims and Bobby Portis and Brook Lopez and Giannis, but that part isn't going to be the case now. But the other changes, the Kevin Porter Jr. addition, maybe it means more Ryan Rollins, which I'm assuming we'll see once again tonight in the starting lineup. How do these things look against the Knicks team that, quite frankly, handled us in the first 2 matchups of the season? So that's the important test, if you will, that remains on the schedule here for the Bucks. Pistons are idle tonight. They do play tomorrow afternoon against the New Orleans Pelicans, and sooner or later, you'd love to get some help there. And in Indiana, the Pacers go back home Monday night to take on the Minnesota Timberwolves, their second game against the T-Wolves in a week. And then they got the Lakers coming up later in the week as well. So that's where the schedule starts to pick up for the Pacers. It comes later in the week when the Pistons start to get the Cavs and some other teams popping up on their schedule a few days from now. We'll take a look at that injury report and get you set for tip-off as we're moving closer and closer to tip time in Sacramento. We'll do so after this on Bucks Shootaround.
Pro Savings Days are back at Lowe's with limited time savings on the supplies pros need. Get up to 40% off select major appliances. Plus, save an additional $100 on every $1,000 you spend on select major appliances. And don't miss your chance to activate and earn 3 times the points on select DeWalt and Klein tools. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 3/28. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. See associate or Lowe's.com for more details on qualifying items.
Testing.
We're live from Chick-fil-A.
This is Grant.
And this is Laura.
And a little thing we love about the Chick-fil-A Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich is that sweet bun.
And that chicken filet was perfectly crispy and soft at the same time.
And that Smokehouse Barbecue sauce, it's a lot of fun. And the brown sugar bacon definitely had a little bit more pizzazz. Also, the Mac, one of the all-time greats. Man, I'm getting hungry.
Order the Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich and our Coca-Cola on the Chick-fil-A app for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
So how is that possible? 1.9% real estate commission? There must be something you're not telling me.
I hear that a lot. The truth is, everybody could do it, but they choose not to because folks keep paying more than they have to. I guess they just haven't heard yet that Century 21 Benefit Realty can make that 1.9% real estate commission promise on the sale of your home and stick to it. So I'd like to think that's going to make your decision easy. This is Angela Calais with Century 21 Benefit Realty, benefit-realty.com, where you pay less for full service. Each office is independently owned and operated.
You're listening to Bucks Shoot Around on WTMJ.
Almost tip time in Sacramento, the Bucks and the Kings. It is Game 3 of this 5-game West Coast road trip. The final 2 Monday and Wednesday. Let's get you up to speed on the injury report really quickly here because I do want to touch on that, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but that Monday game for the Bucks. So, again, pretty similar for the Bucks to where they were in their last game against the Lakers. Damian Lillard out with right calf soreness. Bobby Portis still serving that suspension. Jericho Sims recovering from right thumb surgery. Giannis and Gary Trent Jr. were both on the injury report. They were both available to play. So those are the players out for the Bucks. For the Sacramento Kings, Malik Monk is out with an illness, and Domantas Sabonis out with a right ankle sprain. The Sacramento Kings last played on Thursday night. They lost to the Bulls in one of those like Spider-Man meme games come to life, especially when you look at this roster for the Sacramento Kings and the roster for the Bulls and how much overlap there is with these two teams. The Kings most notably with Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan on their team, former mainstays with the Chicago Bulls. LaVine just 8 points in that game against the Bulls. DeRozan scored 22. Malik Monk had a huge game for the Kings in the loss as he's been their de facto point guard now in light of the De'Aaron Fox trade. Malik Monk was 12 and 19 and scored 34 points. So him being out is a big blow for the Bulls, or excuse me, for the Kings. And there you see the overlap tonight. Jonas Valanciunas is their starting center. It's a matchup we've seen quite a few times between Jonas and Brook Lopez and a lot of similarities for those two players. So, again, just when you look at the players that are out, how the Kings are going to have to initiate the offense, this is a big opportunity for the Bucks tonight in this matchup in Sacramento. Really quickly, before we do briefly touch on Monday night, you've heard me reference playoff status quite a few times, and we've used it throughout the years to see, okay, what do the numbers suggest to where the Bucks are going to finish? After the Bucks beat the Pacers in that game last Saturday night, they had a 52% chance of getting the 4 seed. It went from a 36% chance to a 52% chance by way of locking up the head-to-head tiebreaker. Well, in the events that have followed, and the Pacers not losing since that game, and the Bucks with some tough, frustrating losses, it is completely flipped. Where the Pacers are a game in front of the Bucks, they now have a 59% chance at getting the 4 seed. The Bucks have dropped all the way down to 29. the math suggests the most likely landing spot for the Bucks is going to be the 5 seed, which would set you up for the Pacers for a second consecutive year in the first round, and this time you would not have home court advantage. The Pistons are far and away the team that has the best shot at the 6 seed. They got a 74% chance of finishing 6th, and as we mentioned, the schedule change for the Bucks. Same for the Pistons, but in the inverse. They have one of the more challenging schedules left in the league this season. We'll touch on it quite a bit after tonight's game, I'm sure, and in the lead up to Monday. But Monday is going to be a very interesting day for the Bucks as well, as that is your first look at Mike Budenholzer with his new team. And a week later, he comes to Milwaukee, and I would assume and hope it is going to be a unanimous, strong standing ovation that Bud gets. But that's what makes this an interesting trip, is some of the breaks that you caught and the emotions that may be there for guys like Giannis and Pat Connaughton and others that played for Bud going up against their former coach. The game is next. Bucks and the Sacramento Kings on 620 WTMJ.
Just like the Milwaukee Bucks, Coakley Brothers has developed into a world-class national player. We perform office work for clients in the U.S. and Canada who need help.